Hey there everyone, it's GG Sober Sun. January 7th. January 7th. When temptation comes, as it does sometimes to us all, I will say to myself, no! My whole life depends on not taking that drink, and nothing in the world can make me do it. Besides, I have promised that higher power that I wouldn't do it. I know that God doesn't want me to drink, and I won't break my promise to God. I've given up my right to drink, and it's not my decision any longer. Have I made the choice once and for all so that there's no going back on it? This kind of statement kind of challenges my theology, right? There's nothing I can do to earn God's love, right? And when I say, I promised and I wouldn't do it, and I won't break my promise, that's setting me up for failure. And I don't think that's what the AA principles tell us. They say, I won't drink today, one day at a time. And I guess, it does talk about my whole life, but when temptation comes, and it will always come in some form or another. It may not be with alcohol. It'll be with all kinds of other things. The disease will use anything it can to get us back to even considering drink. If it can't get us to make the decision to take a drink, it'll try all kinds of other things for you to give into, and then to give into, and until there's a domino effect, and it's like, I've got nothing else nothing else I can do but to pick up a drink, kind of thing. As I shared before, my experiment in 2021, where the disease got me to think that pot would be okay. Thank God I caught it before I decided that drinking would be okay. But there's like I said, there's all kinds of other things along the way. I was indulging in some other things that weren't setting me up for success, I'll put it that way. And it was making it, taking that drink more of a possibility of inching closer and closer to it. And I'm not suggesting constant vigilance either with regard to avoiding that first drink, right? As I've said before, I'm more about, saying avoiding the first drink rather than I won't drink. I'm not going to drink. I'm more about action and proaction than not doing something, if that makes any sense. I hope it does, because there's a whole other life, outside of alcohol that we haven't been living. And if our focus is always that first drink, now I'm not suggesting either that I'm saying that I'm going to eventually become a non-alcoholic, like I'm going to be healed or cured. No, that's why I have to be mindful of these devices. And if I'm constantly focusing on don't take a drink, don't take a drink, don't take a drink, don't take a drink, guess what's eventually going to happen? I'm either going to take a drink, or I'm going to become miserable. Some of the most miserable recovered alcoholics I know are so focused on don't drink if your ass falls off. And if it falls off, you know, they make it funny. If it falls off, pick it up, bring it to a meeting, we'll help you put it back on. So, you know, it's live life. And I'm not saying AA is a pathway to normal living. That was one of the often used phrases in the circle of meetings that I went to when I was stationed in England. You know, AA is a pathway to normal living. And what the F does normal mean? You know, it's important to normal living for an alcoholic is drinking every day, right? Or drinking our feelings. And normal living to a non-alcoholic is drinking and, you know, for as it says in the big book, conviviality and you know, camaraderie and stuff like that. Well, most of us have drunk well beyond that point, right? So what is normal? Normal for a recovering and recovered alcoholic, the big book, I think, is a little ambiguous about whether we're recovered or recovering. So I use both terms just so no one gets butthurt. But it doesn't make any difference to me. So anyway, where was I? So for someone in recovery, in 12-step recovery, normal is to be plugged in doing service work, right? Not because we have to, but to get out of ourselves, right? It's like, how happy do you want to be? How connected do you want to be? And don't, you know, you might complain that, you know, the program's not working for you, but if you're not involved in some kind of service work, and of course the big book talks, I mean, the 12 and 12 talks about how in step 12, you know, sometimes just showing up to meetings is doing 12-step work, you know. I would dare say that people who show up late and leave early, or right after the Lord's Prayer, they're not really doing 12-step work. But even still, they, you know, if there's a room full of people like that, and one or two that are sticking around and asking the newcomers how they're going, at least they're filling the room. So at the barest minimum, they're doing 12-step work, right? So it's important for me to know that temptation will come. And I don't know that I ever made a promise to God that I will never drink again, but that sounds like, you know, a proffered temperance pledge, as it talks about in the big book, you know, with or without a solemn oath. You know what I mean? It's like all the promises I've made regarding alcohol or abstaining from alcohol in the past didn't work. You know, and the mother of my children at one point asked me when we were still married, you know, do you think you'll ever drink again? And I go, I don't know. And she was just blown away. She was like, what do you mean you don't know? I said, I don't know. I don't know what might make me drink one day. All I can do is know that, you know, if the temptation comes, I have something I can do and somewhere I can go and someone I can talk to about it, and hopefully stave off that desire. And it is just a desire. It is just, at that point, I don't want to go too much into it, but at that point it is just They refer to it as the obsession of the mind to drink, right? But as long as I avoid that first drink, the phenomenon of craving will never occur. Enough said. Meditation for the day. In silence comes God's meaning to the heart. I cannot judge when it enters the heart. I can only judge by results. God's word is spoken to the secret places of my heart, and in some hour of temptation, I find that word and realize its value for the first time. When I need it, I find it there. Quote, "Thy Father who seeth in secret shall reward thee openly." End quote. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may see God's meaning in my life. I pray that I may gladly accept what God has to teach me. And oh my goodness, right now I am really seeking that. I'm really seeking God's guidance, and I don't know if it's my own willful desire in a certain situation, and wanting my will to be done, and that's why I'm subconsciously or deliberately confusing the messages. But I'm staying plugged in. I'm staying plugged in with people, and some specialists that I talk to are giving me advice that I expect them really to give, given the condition, my conditions. But all I can do is keep looking up, aiming up, and hopefully I know God will help me to rise up. And I hope y'all stick around and find the same thing happen in your life. I love you. Keep coming back.